What's up, kings and queens? It's your boys from Daft Previews here to talk a little bit about Luke's journey through Magic Round and also to preview Round 11. Luke, how you feeling, big dog?
Magical. Magical is a way to summarize
Magical.
how I'm feeling. How are you?
You look dusty as shit. I'm doing all
Oh,
right.
yeah. It's for any. I'll say it every year. For anyone who's never been, do yourself a favor and go. It's one of the. Yeah, it's like I did see it. I saw a caption the other day. I don't know, probably Batuta Advocate, I think it was, where it was saying like NRL Magic Round is schoolies for dads, and it's pretty bang on. Like it is
Yeah.
just loose. It's just insane. It's a buzz, put it that way, for 3 days. And I'm definitely feeling the effects of it. Yesterday, flights were delayed 2 hours, which was quite frustrating. So I could have had those
Nice.
2 hours extra in bed, but yeah,
You soldier on.
push
I'll
through.
say, before we talk more about Magic Round, say hi to old Cabby Bar in the chat. We see you, brother. We're doing well. Um, I'm somewhat excellent. Luke looks close to throwing up, so
Hmm.
fucking splendid weekend. So, look, before we talk about footy, tell us why Magic Round is so arousing. What am I missing out
Uh,
on?
it's like whenever you go to, like, say you go to a game and you go to, like, if you're an away fan, you go to a pub, there's that heckling back and forth, and I don't know, like, you don't. It feels like everyone, it's a home game for everyone. So everyone's in a good mood, but there's heaps of fans there. But then there's also the shit talking, the chirping, but it doesn't. For me, like, I didn't see. I know last year they had that big punch up in the crowd, but like I was at the Caxton 2 of the nights,
Oh,
and I feel
really?
like if I go out anywhere else in Sydney, and there's the amount of, like, again, there was no alcohol rules, like it was just beers, drinks getting poured and drank left, right, center. I would have seen like 20 fights. Like, there's still going to be a dickhead and knobs. They're still there, but again, at the same time, everyone's so friendly. Like, you meet people, like, met blokes from like Moree, and they literally drove up. People drove in from different parts of Queensland, different fans. Like, everyone's just, I don't know, everyone's in good spirits. And it's just, yeah, just like, again, there's just something happening everywhere's busy, it's buzzing. It's just, yeah, it's really hard to explain, but when you go up there once, you're like, it's fucking insane. As I said, like, it's the stuff you like, there's no RSAs. Maybe that's the theory, like, when people start punting people, but like, just the amount of alcohol drank, how much smashed everyone was, but like, for the best part, there was no, like, I didn't see any drama myself. I did see some little YouTube drama apparently on TikTok.
I'm
One
about
of
to
your
say,
mates
did you
was,
see many YouTubers there?
saw a couple.
How about the
Obviously,
Caxton?
Caxton, Fletch, and Hindy were there, and there's a couple other YouTubers, but nothing like.
See the bloke boys?
Yes, yeah. And then on the way up after the game on Saturday night, I saw a bit of controversial figures in Scope and Mace,
Yeah.
and they were interviewing. I think that Luke, one of the cameramen's with them now as well from
Yeah.
YKT. I didn't know he went as well. And they were interviewing a bloke who was leaving, and they go, he was a New South Wales man. They're like, oh, for $50 at the Caxton, would you say I go Queensland? And he's like, no, I just want to go home. And he just brushed them. I was like, I would have fucking said it for $50 at the Caxton. But yeah, there's a lot. And again, you see, like, there's so many people, even just like the flights and stuff. Like yesterday, like, the Parramatta coaching staff are on. Well, they weren't on the same flight, but they're in the same area in the airport. So like Brad Arthur was sitting there, and he's got his laptop out, and obviously he's doing an analysis on the day prior's fucking disaster.
Well,
And
he's like,
blokes,
I don't know how we lost that one.
I don't know. And my whole mates coming up, can I get a selfie? And putting their arm around you. And I'm like, man, the last thing he probably wants to do is a selfie after the fucking game the day before.
Yeah.
It's just, honestly, like, could not recommend it more. Every year I get new mates to come along with me, and they all go, it's fucking amazing. Like,
You see any
um,
rugby league legends there?
I didn't see any, because most of the time I spent was at the Caxton and a couple pubs, but I know there was a couple mates up there that got, like, a lot of players went out afterwards this year, which was
Yeah.
good. The mate got a photo with Horsburgh. He was out on the town, Rapana, and some of the boys on the Friday night. But some teams like Melbourne went up on Wednesday or Thursday or something, whereas Penrith didn't go up till Friday. And so yeah, just like Billy Slater was worshipped. You see, I don't know if you've seen the footage of Thurston on the Saturday, like, throwing down beers, like the crowd were going fucking bananas for him.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a really good time. Like, as I said, I can't, like, it suits everyone. Like, even like, you think like there's like still a lot of women, like, partners and stuff go, because like it's not like just I don't know. There's just pubs, clubs, restaurants, bars, like you name it. The casino on Sunday night was fucking chockers. It was
So you're
like
still pumping what from Friday to or whenever you landed,
so
Friday to Sunday night?
Friday. So Friday from about 12, and I finished up at 1 a.m. Sunday or 2 a.m. I had a 6 a.m. Sorry, I had to get up at 6 for the flight at 8, which was delayed 2 hours. But yeah, from then on, I'm tell you what, I'm not eating another snack pack for a while. I've done my quota. The late night kebab shop's got to work out, and yeah.
Jeez. Well, I might
Also,
come with you
actually,
next. Might come
you
with
know
you.
what I did see? I saw Goxie. If anyone out there knows any YouTuber named Goxie, I did see Goxie. And again, if anyone has seen his videos, he's very like he acts dumb in his videos, but that is him in real life. Like he is who he is in the videos. It's so funny. But like not many people recognized him either.
Yeah, I don't know who he is.
Yeah,
His
look him
name's
up.
dumb, so I'll take your word for it.
Shout out to Goxie if he's watching.
Shout out to you, brother. Quick review of what happened in Magic Round. More so about where we were right or wrong. You went what 3-6, so not
Glad
the
you
most
remember that
magical
because
betting experience for you. I went 3-1, so I'm sitting at 54% now, getting closer to profit once again. But what did we say? Raiders, Dogs. Fuck, that was a very high scoring game. I didn't know how it would go, but typical Raiders first half came out early, got the lead, and found a way to let the opposition keep it close. We had the Broncos to riot on the Sea Eagles, so riot we did. I wasn't very impressed with how we played, but I'll talk a bit more when you talk about the Bronx. Panthers beating the Warriors in typical Penrith fashion. Unders all day. Bit of rub of the green, bit of controversy about the Warriors, but you know, what were your thoughts on that? Apparently, the Warriors are getting hard done by.
Yeah, the Leota put a hit on, but it was similar to the Cowboys Roosters. The Jared Warrior Hargraves one, like that old mate fucking clocked him in the head and nothing happened. Leota did the similar thing and it was play on, but then I think it was controversial because when Cleary tackled Curran and they got push and shove, old mate from the Warriors ran around and like kind of like forehand him in the chin, and they just deemed
It's
that
not
like
hard.
yeah, not hard to miss. But then you look at like say Latrell had 2 cracks at Harry Grant or whoever it was the game 2 games later, and nothing happened from that. I think that's the consistency, and I think as the Warriors been on the end of it a couple of times.
And Latrell probably has the hardest like fend in the NRL. Like he's not
Yeah,
rubbing you softly.
yeah. But that was where that game there. So the first 3 games I went Raiders 1-12, got that. Went Broncos cover line, got that, and then Penrith Warriors under, and then after that, that's when the massacre started.
Slide. Let's talk a bit more about the slide. The only one I got wrong last week was Sharks v Dolphins. They still scored 10 points in the first half. They needed 12.5, but it was 30-10 at halftime. Like, fuck me.
That was, I'm telling you, I was gobsmacked watching that. No one could see that coming.
No one. I didn't even watch the games on Saturday. I was out at like a wedding and stuff all day, so I was just checking scores on my phone, and I was just in disbelief. But you know, you can't always just run on form. What we do, we look at a lot of form, but the narrative is very important. And all Queensland teams got up. The Dolphins got up for Wayne's 900th, so key milestones. We've got to pay close attention to that. The next game, though, is the Rabbitohs 28-12 over Melbourne. Pumped them in the second half, so I landed that as expected. Were you on the money on the Rabbitohs game, or did you back?
I had Melbourne plus the handicap. But as I said, my day ended after the Penrith game. I don't give a fuck, obviously. But everything was just like, yep, that didn't work out very well. But yeah, Melbourne could have had way more opportunities than South. They just looked lost.
Yeah. That's good for us.
Probably the worst game I've seen Munster play in a while.
Yeah, he normally turns it on when he's up in Suncorp, but I don't know. He's not on the beers this year, so he doesn't have the additional energy of the beers in the audience and in the crowd. So yeah, he's not turning it on. Tiger Dragons 18-16. I said I didn't know how the fuck this match would go, and even up until the 78th minute, I didn't know who was going to win. So, did you ever play in that game?
Yeah, I play in every game.
Sorry.
That one I had, I think it was Dragons plus 1.5 or something. It was like and again I lost. I got cucked, but I was again at that point it was just downhill for me that weekend. And thank God bless the Treasury Casino and Brisbane on Sunday night, because it was rough weekend on the punt. So that one I had. Oh, I did in some change on roulette. St. George, I had St. George minus 1.5.
Right.
Yeah.
Unlucky.
Yeah.
Then we rolled into some later games on the Sunday, and more treachery occurred. Cowboys 20-6 winners over the Roosters. Fuck me. I thought the Roosters were absolutely going to pound these wankers, and they didn't even look close. Rather, they didn't even get binned. And
no, that's the problem.
Just, man, they just got dominated through the middle. The Roosters sucked. I don't know. The Cowboys were probably better than they have been, but no one was picking that. Let me tell you.
No.
And then we had the Titans beating the Eels. You had the unders on that one. Despite the weather came, it did rain at 4:00 on the dot.
Everything was pointing to going unders in that
field
game.
Was awful.
Even at halftime at 16-4, it was 20 points. I was at under 47.5. I was like, you beauty. And then Moses got nearly killed again. And I thought, yep. And they still managed to score a try without him on the field. Fucking hell. How do you let Kieran Foran score 2 tries?
Oh, it's the Foz. It's the
fucking shit, Parramatta.
Absolutely. But
they just, yeah.
We'll talk more about these teams when we get into the preview, but we finished up our last episode saying, where are the potential upsets here? We fucked around and said the Dolphins are a chance and the Titans are a chance. I'm pretty sure is where we landed.
Yeah. If only I backed it.
Cowboys was a surprise. Tigers, that was pretty much a pick 'em.
Yeah.
So no massive shock, and everything else the favourites kind of got up. So two big upsets, and I'm sure there's going to be more this week. Let's hope you're not backing a favourite when the upset occurs, because it's coming. But let's jump into round 11. Quite a few games to get through. Kicking it off with an absolutely exciting one. It's the Brisbane Broncos versus the Melbourne Storm. Now, this is out at Amy Park. 7:50 on your Thursday night. Glad to see Thursday night football again. Looking at the team list, what do we have? For the Storm, pretty much a very similar team who played last week. Kamakamika's a chance to return. And for the Broncos, similar team as last week. Kurt Capewell named to play despite copping a bit of a headache last week. Melbourne $1.71 favourites. Brisbane $2.15. Lines 2.5. Totals 41.5. As a Broncos fan, without looking at numbers, the Storm tend to fuck us almost every single time, regardless if it's in Melbourne or at Suncorp. And Broncos clearly in better form, but the scoreline's flattering. Manly were fucking terrible last week. Josh Alloway, mate, if he got a snag from Bunnings, a walk to the car, I promise you he'd drop half of it. He wouldn't finish that snag 9 out of 10 times. He's gone back. So he was shocking. Turbo he looked more injured than he has been. Like we've been saying,
he's breaking down more and more each week.
Yeah. He needs a service or something, but he's not looking good. So I think and the Broncos weren't good. The Broncos they let in. Manly had 6 line breaks. Brisbane had 7. Manly missed 35 tackles. Brisbane missed like 26 tackles. It's not like we didn't play very well. Completion rate wasn't good. We could just finish, whereas Manly weren't even close. So I think the scoreline was flattering. I don't think we played that good, but it's another one of those games where we played a lot better than the opposition did in that game. But looking at it, I wouldn't take Brisbane at the line or with any confidence. I obviously want them to win, but I wouldn't take them with any confidence whatsoever, regardless of how bad Melbourne have been playing. So I don't have a play on this game because if the Broncos are playing, I find a way to bet on them, and I could not. But what about you? What you got on?
Over 41.5.
Oh, you got the overs. Tell me why.
They've gone overs the last 5 times. 72 points, 52 points, 52 points, 46 points, 54 points.
Right.
I just can't. And again, you talked about the defense. They're still missing tackles. So I think Melbourne are a bit more classy than Manly. I think Brisbane can win it, but I think there'll be points. I just don't see. I think Melbourne will improve, obviously, with their attack. I think, as I said, South are like very good. But yeah, they've gone over the last 5 times. I don't know why they won't go over again. They're high scoring games.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's a good point. Brisbane are dominant up the middle in attack, but not in defense. So, like, we probably lead the comp in meters made and post contact meters and shit. But I'm pretty confident if there's a stat on how much you give up, we give up a lot. We have no enforcers in the middle. Our nines, both of our nines are ex-hookers. I mean,
Prostitutes.
not what they do outside of football. I mean, ex-halves. So they're very small number nines. And we've got some toilers in the middle, and no one's putting hits on. There's probably Flegler, and that's it. But he's only good for a 20-minute stint. Whereas Melbourne have some, they got Nelson in there. They got Welch as a toiler, King as a toiler. But Harry Grant out of dummy half is going to be very dangerous. I think he'll probably carve us up. Not to say we won't score our own points. We'll score, but I think they'll score too. So I'll support the notion of overs. What's the weather in Melbourne on Thursday, though? Have you checked that?
Yes, I have. 18 degrees. By kickoff, it'll be 15 degrees. Okay. No rain. No, raining some. What's today? Just raining today. Clear tomorrow. Yep. God, I'm good at weather. Clear Thursday.
Okay. So that's your only play. You're taking the overs?
Yeah. I'm being a bit more conservative this week, by the way, guys. I'm feeling down. So
how many? Down from like 11?
I might go 5, 6. 6.
We'll go
half. Yeah, we'll go 6 weeks.
I got 4 this week. And there's none in this Brisbane game. I obviously want Brisbane to win. But we shall see where it lands. We'll get in a Friday's game. First one's at 6 p.m., which is usually reserved for teams like the Canterbury Bulldogs, Newcastle Knights, Gold Coast Titans, St. George Illawarra Dragons. Those fuckers usually play at 6 p.m. on a Friday. And we've got the Bulldogs versus the Warriors. This is at a Course Stadium out here in Homebush. Josh Addo-Carr is back. So good news for Doggies fans. And for the Warriors and my fantasy team, Jackson Ford is out, as well as Edward Cossey. So Warriors are favourites at $1.77, lines 1.5. Total points are also 41.5 points. Both teams in shocking form. I think the Dogs have lost like 5 or 6 in a row or something. The Warriors have lost 3 in a row, but they've had some stiffer competition. I personally was leaning to the Warriors. Had it within my bet slip. Then I put all my bets in for the whole round, and then I reviewed it, and I was like, who's going to fuck me here? And I removed the Warriors there because I think there's just a little bit of bias. I think everyone knows I'm a big Warriors fan at the moment. I've been backing them for a couple of weeks now, and it hasn't been working for me. So putting that away, leaning towards the Warriors because that's what I want to happen, but nothing I could confidently say, take this. Add it to your bet slip. I'm backing it here. What about you? Have you got anything in this game?
No, I'm on the Warriors.
You're on the Warriors? Tell me why.
5 in a row against the Dogs.
I know. I did see that. I did.
And
yes.
To be fair, now because I was obviously at the game on Saturday, there was 2 or 3 line. Sean Johnson made like 2 clean, good line breaks, and they fucking butchered it. And you think if they held on and played their hand right, they would have scored. Which really would have pushed Penrith again. I think Penrith are a way better team than the Dogs. And I honestly think this bias comment that they're talking about, it's going to work, and they'll get the 50-50s this week.
It's going to influence the ref this week.
And when it's 1.5, it could be a 2-point swing, and I'm going to take that. That's what I'm big like. I think the fact that they haven't come out and like slammed them, the NRL for it, like suggests to me that maybe they do feel a bit like hard done by on things. So
there's probably some truth to that. Did you see fucking Annesley's response to that?
Yeah,
he didn't
he didn't address the actual statement. He
was like, think of the refs, mate. Just think of the refs. Think about the future.
You've gone out.
What the fuck are you talking about?
The humans that make mistakes.
Normally, he addresses the issue head on.
Yes.
So looked at the data, looked at all the film. A lot of these guys 50-50 or what? Like, he didn't address the issue that the Warriors being hard done by. It's like, mate, they make mistakes as well. They're just at least fucking say that they made the mistake. But he's basically saying get off the ref's back. It's talking shit about the integrity of the NRL here. But yeah, I think that's a really good point. That's something outside of form that you need to factor in. The Warriors are making headlines. for the right reasons if you're a Warriors fan, and referees could be influenced this week to support them. So
Imagine again a dud call or something they get on this week.
oh,
It's only going to make that
360,
riot louder.
2GB.
Yeah, 2GB. It's gonna go mental. It's
Yeah.
for me. They can't there'd be added focus. I don't know who the ref is this week, but I just think they'll get it is basically a pick 'em, and I think they'll get the calls, and they'll cover the 1.5 on the back of that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
as I said, they looked good at the points on Saturday.
They look good every week.
That line break, there was a line break that he made in the first half, Johnson. They went down into the corner. I think Edwards made a try-saving tackle. And then it was like the third tackle, and he passed, and he tried kicking it and kicked it straight out or something, and trying to chip to his winger or something. I was like, fuck, they wasted that. And yeah.
I did see that kick, yeah.
It's awful.
Okay. I'm liking that Warriors play. I reckon it's a good one. Great insights, Luke. Your boys are on they've got the main event on Friday night at 8 p.m. Back in your town at Bluebet Stadium. It's the Penrith Panthers versus Sydney Roosters. Panthers $1.50, Roosters at $2.60. The line is 5.5. Totals, you're looking at the lowest total of the round at 39.5. The Panthers had the same team that they had last week. And for the Roosters, Egan Butcher is out. He had a nice, what was it, face clash, I think.
They kissed.
Nice kiss there. But Angus is starting. Not too many movements with their fucking shit team anyway. Panthers, it's a very easy preview for the Panthers because they're doing the same thing every week now.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense is still rock solid as fuck. They might be getting some support from Cleary's chin and referees. But games going under seems like every single time, regardless of who they play. Penrith not covering the line very well at all. But for the Roosters, their record's not too bad. I think between 3 and 9, they're all in the same competition points on the ladder.
Yeah.
I think the Roosters are among that log jam, so they're winning enough games to stay competitive when you're looking at the ladder. But they're not winning a lot of them convincingly, and when they lose, they're fucking awful. They're not playing good. They just find ways to win. So, and look, Penrith they're not blowing the lights out either. I think they're still the best team in the comp, but the gap's not as big as it once was. What's your play on this one?
2. Actually, I've got a lot of players, I think, but Penrith cover the line and under 39.5. I'm going the unders. I'm just going to I'm sticking by it.
I'm with you.
Penrith have won 5 in a row against the Roosters, actually, which is very impressive considering the Roosters' quality of their football teams.
Yeah.
And only 4 out of 5 they've covered the 5.5. They've won other time. It was 29-28 back in 2020. It was actually a finals week. I think it was first week of the finals from memory. It was a shootout. I think this is their first game back in Penrith since round 6. It'll be 5 weeks back. So they're obviously going to be pumped to be back at home. And I think they have only had really one game with good weather in Penrith, and they blew Manly off the park. So I think the weather's looking good as well. So I think this all adds up for a very strong Penrith win. Hopefully not too loud, because I don't mind the scope being on basically South and the focus, because kind of leaves us alone for the 3-peat talk. So it's good.
South could possibly be peaking early, We'll get to them in the next game, but no, I'm taking the unders. That's the only play I'm taking in this one. I know a lot of their recent games against the Roosters, I think they've gone over, but this Penrith team's not the same one as we had the last few years. Attack's not blistering. I think kick out is a big out, and Appy, I think you're still feeling it. But defensively, absolute weapon. So I think that continues against a Roosters team whose attack's not great. I know they won consistent games with Joey at 6, but he hasn't improved their attack.
No, and
just a better defender at that position. But
as I said, he's been brought in purely due to injuries prior, but he's been brought in there now with the expectation he's got to improve their attack, not you're covering an injured player. So now the scope, the pressure's on them. The talk is about, he's not doing anything different. Well, he never does. It's just that the team, usually when he slides in there, is performing. He's not going in there because they're underperforming.
Yeah.
The Joey came out with comments last week saying he now has to be a 5'8" full time or something. He fucking rocks in his head, that bloke.
Yeah, I don't know what Joey's on, but I rarely agree with anything he's saying. If anything, he frustrates me listening to him because he's always frothing over the same stuff.
And he's moaning all the time, like he's whinging.
Oh,
Yeah.
whoa.
Just seems so disinterested in being there.
Yeah.
Like, where was his buzzing? You hear these stories about him, and then you see him on the screen, and he just seems disinterested all the time.
It's crazy how, like, his brother's Matthew Johns, who's just so engaging to listen to and watch.
Yeah, charismatic, and
Yeah. And Joey's just so
draining.
so dry, and you just wait for him to finish talking half the time. Like, especially like the way he talks about, oh, look how he's put the shape on the, like, mate, it's a fucking simple kick. I could do that kick. Like, you shape it so it bounces to the sideline. Everyone knows that now.
Yeah,
It's
not... I was doing that in street footy growing up, mate. Basically, could have been a grader.
But anyway, enough about Joey. Take the Panthers and take the unders on 8 p.m. on Friday night. We get into our slutty Saturday, looking at the South Sydney Rabbitohs versus the West Tigers, who are on a 2-game winning streak. The line in this one is 15.5 points. The totals are 44.5. South's $1.15 favourites. No changes for the Rabbitohs, and for the Tigers, John Bateman comes back into the side. Man, 15.5 is a big fucking line, especially when you've won 2 on the trot, and 2 of those as underdogs, one against Penrith. They're not blessed with shitty conditions, though, the Tigers in this one. So they're going to have to play football to win this one. Rabbitohs are the hottest team in town at the moment. Just romping teams. Got the comeback over Penrith, which is glorious, but convincing wins over Melbourne, Brisbane. Latrell's off his head, and he can do whatever he wants at the moment. So I guess Souths are going to win this one. The question is how much.
I don't know. I'm staying away from this one, actually.
Yeah,
because you think, right, the South should crush, like, but then you look at the history in between them. The last 5 games, there's been a 2-point win to Souths, a 4-point win to Souths, and a 1-point win to Souths. Sorry, to Tigers in that time. So and this is basically Tigers been shit for all that period, and Souths have been very good during that period.
Yeah.
So even they're a bit of a bogey team. Like, even during that period, they pushed them. So I'm not like, I wouldn't be surprised if Souths win by 30. But if, again, gun to my head, I'd go Tigers plus anything. But I'm not confident enough because I've seen the Tigers, and that game on Sunday
could go a 30-point win on there.
Yeah, really, and again, if you even put the 2 teams away they played on the weekend, Souths will put 50 on them because that Tigers Dragons game was fucking a comedy.
The Dragons were just butchering tries.
That fucking
Sloan cutout pass ruined every.
The Sully
coming inside.
Sully coming inside, like, there were fucking comedy of errors in that game.
Yeah.
So, but then again, they seem to push them, so I'm staying away from it.
Well, the Tigers have a knack of getting teams to play at their level.
Yeah,
they do that all the time. They've actually got a great handicap record this year. They just bring people down to their level. So I did lean Tigers, but I know that the Rabbitohs can put 4 tries on in the last 20 minutes, right? 10, 15 minutes. They could do that, and they've done it many times this year. So I'm actually sticking to a bet that I made last week, and that's Souths to cover the line in the second half. So Souths minus 8.5. I think the Tigers could keep it competitive and close until Latrell wakes up. And then in that second half, it could be an absolute romping. That's what I'm thinking could happen anyway. Souths tend to do it. It is at a core stadium, so and given their form, I can't see how they don't. But I think they keep it close, Tigers, and they get blown out in the second half. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. So it's a first half blowout. They could fucking start chilling in the second. So Tigers keep it close. Souths to absolutely pump. All right, into the second game, which I have zero interest in watching. At 5:30, we've got the North Queensland Cowboys versus St. George Illawarra Dragons. Cowboys $1.45 favourites, the shortest they've probably been all year. The line is 6.5. This game's out at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. For the Cowboys, they've got the same 17 that took the field last week. And for the Dragons, pretty much the very same team. Question is, will Bent Hunt start at hooker or at 7? Will they do a switch after 20 minutes? How do you think that experiment went?
I thought it went good. People slant, like, I'm sorry, if fucking Sloan and that idiot Sully, the pass and do the right thing. Like, what's his name? Sullivan?
Was bad. He really rocks the diamonds. Like,
he is.
He's before half time.
Yeah. Just take the tackle, mate. Like it was about 5 points.
I
We were
just would have
watching.
thrown it dead to not risk
Yeah.
getting injured.
It was
That's what I
about
would have
5
done.
points where I was like, okay, stop. And even that kick, that could
Yeah,
have easily just ricocheted and gone
yeah,
forward and stayed in, and then you would have looked like the biggest idiot.
I know.
But I thought Sullivan was good.
Yeah,
I rate. I like his He's got a bit of the cockiness about him. Like he was chirping a bit and stuff. Like you need that. Like you need a little confidence going because at the moment they've got no
it gives
confidence
him
at the
a
moment.
bit of spark. Amon's pretty solid too as a 6.
Yeah.
I guess where they're lacking is where the fuck are they lacking?
It's
Just
that
honestly,
finished product that's those edges. Like all their
yeah,
points and everything came through the middle. If you look at it, they scored. Their middle was amazing. It's when they went wide, their centers, wingers, and the fullbacks linking up, they just fucked up so many times.
yeah, I know.
You look at say the
Oh,
Tigers, whenever they got a sniff, they fucking scored out wide. Like Norfoluma and that was the difference. Like they look all right through the middle and competing, and then it's when they go for the third pass, it's like, what the fuck are they doing?
yeah, that's a good point. Ben Hunt almost saved him at the end. That was some crazy. That was a crazy play. Such a Ben Hunt thing to do.
It was so good though, like the way, and
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, I hope they score. It would have been the try of the year if
They just had
they
to go
scored.
through the hands. That's all they
Yeah,
had to do.
yeah,
I don't know where Sloan throws a cutout pass, but then he doesn't even draw anyone in. He just throws it. Like
yeah,
he just draw and pass. Like you had a 2-man overlap. It was 5-on-3 or something.
yeah. It summed up Sloan though, that break because Hunt got the ball
He
and
was so far away.
He looked for fucking anyone, and the first player who came through was Jack DeVellin. I was like, where the fuck is everyone else? Where is the wingers?
And it's like you're a fullback
the
and it's the last
halves.
tackle. Like
Yeah,
what
the
was he doing?
fullback.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah, you should be up in the line at that point with
Mm.
the kicker. Like you're chasing through, like you see Teddy and Edwards and stuff do it. But again, if he was there, it would have been a short ball. He would have been through under the post. But
Yeah.
they fucking butchered it.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, I've got no play on this one. You got one?
No, I was going to take Dragons of the Handy, but I think I'm confused how they're going to set up. If they go back to Ben Hunt in the halves, I'm not really convinced it's going to do much. So
Yeah.
I would stick and hope they just execute better. If they do, they can win this game. But the big if.
Yeah, it's true. Losing to the Tigers is sure to rattle anyone, but yeah, it's a tough one. Cowboys were excellent last week, but
teams are 1-0 this year after losing to the Tigers. Just so you know, so the bounce back is a factor. Real. Let's start tracking it. Dragons win this weekend.
You work for Sportsbet now. You're doing inside. All right, let's get into the game at 7:35. Canberra versus Parramatta at GIO Stadium, 7:35 Saturday evening. Canberra favourite till $1.60. Parramatta at $2.35. The line's 3.5. Totals you're looking at 42.5. Hopewadi returns and it pushes Savage out. And for the Eels, Jake Arthur takes over the reins from Mitchell Moses, who's got a bit of a head knock this week. Savage he just came back because Sebastian Chris has been playing all right at fullback. He played on the wing. Apparently, Hopewadi's. Ricky Stewart's a big Hopewadi fan. When he was out, he didn't play because he was at a wedding last week. Ricky Stewart said he's definitely coming back regardless of what happens. And Raiders got the win, but Sebastian Chris, still sticks at fullback, and Savage gets dropped to the reserves. It's an interesting one. They're pretty deep though. Like Croker's their worst player in the backs, but they only started winning when he came back.
Yeah,
they're 4-0 with Croker in there, so he may not light it up, but he's doing something right to influence something in the game. What are your thoughts on that? Would you have Savage in, or?
I would. He was even on Friday. I'm trying to wind back. I was pretty drunk. He was still a bit of a live wire, still like bit of speed, something. And again, I was like, I thought I'd have him at fullback. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's his defense, maybe, or something. His efforts at training, but I thought because at the start of the year he was locked to be the fullback until he got fucking face caved in.
Yeah.
So something must have happened during that period of recovery or something because they've not been amazing. Chris is okay, but he'd still be pretty good in centers. Yeah.
That's true. I think they need to keep Croker in there purely. It can't just be a coincidence. He comes back, you start winning.
Yeah,
But I think at the same time, Papali'i came back, or he came back a week prior, whereas he started off pretty poor and he's starting to warm into it. But I guess Horsburgh has he's their best forward this year, and you've got Tapane in there and Papali'i in there, but Horsburgh is a fucking freak.
he's so good though. I love watching him play.
Yeah, he's excellent. He's entertaining. His efforts there. He's almost a total package. He's a redhead too. That's pretty cool.
That ticks boxes, mate.
But do you reckon he can play Origin this year? There's a lot of players for Queensland who are just like him.
Yeah, I think he will. I think, like, if you just imagine him coming off the bench when he's like getting angry and he just
Can you? Because he already plays angry. Can you imagine in Origin where people just seem to, especially Queenslanders, they just go mad.
there's no Canberra players will be in the New South Wales team, wouldn't there? White maybe. If when he's retired,
He retired.
So like I was gonna say, he would kill an opposite, like a teammate. He'd be someone you don't have to tell him, listen, put it aside. It's fuck it, I'm gonna kill him anyway. Like,
yeah, he would kill someone for sure.
Yeah, so that's why I'd have him in there. Like again, game on the life on the line. He is going to do anything he can. Bit emotional. Everyone likes a bit of a crier, so
yeah. Well, look, Queensland have heaps of forwards at the moment, so it'd be interesting if he can make it. They got Carrigan's a lock. Lindsay Collins would be a lock. Tino would be a lock. You'd probably they'd have Jai Arrow in there. I think David Feeder's playing good enough. He'll get in. Capewell's form's not good, but his versatility, you'd have to have him somewhere. Ruben Cotter, he's finally starting to play good again. He'd be in there. That's 7 forwards already.
Yeah.
Fodderwake is killing it. The Titans. He's actually playing really well at the moment. A lot of the Queensland players are playing well, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see Horsburgh could make it in. But anyway, Para without Moses. Do you know how they perform without Moses at all?
Shit.
They're shit.
Awful. Yeah, this bloke's coming in fucking awful as well. Jake Arthur.
Surely he's probably matured. He hasn't played since the grand final.
He's probably his last touch would have been a try in the grand final. So good, you're only as good as your last game. No good. They're no good. They lose that direct. Like again, who whinges with like the Gutho? The whinging reduces 50%. That's half their game. What does Gutho do now? I've stayed away because I have no idea how. Like I did like Para plus 3.5, and I remember Jake Arthur's in the half. So I'm like, yeah, no, I'm staying away at that one.
I'm taking Rambers. Raiders minus 1.5 in the first half. I think over their 4 games, they've really been pumping well in the first half, especially the last 2. They got out really well against the Dogs. They got out extremely well against the Dolphins. And I can see them starting very strong once again at home. I don't think they'll be laxed in this one. But in the second half, they just seem to drop off and let teams in. I was also thinking about the unders in this one, given how both of these teams are playing. I think no Moses. I think that ball doesn't see the edge as often as it does. I think Hodgson probably steps up a lot more, because he's a very dominant hooker. And that's where the problem is. He's dominant. Moses is dominant, but Moses isn't there anymore. Like Jake Arthur and Dylan Brown, I could be calling for shit. I think Parramatta play up the middle, which they've got the cattle for it, and they'll have Gutho sniffing around. I think they'll play up the middle, but they're up against Canberra, and Canberra just plays up the middle.
Yeah.
So Corey Parker's going to love this game because everything's going to be up the middle third. So, and then I thought, it leans to the unders, but then for some reason, the Raiders games, they're averaging like 60 points a game in theirs recently. So didn't want to touch the totals, but I'm taking the trend of Canberra playing well in the first half and Parramatta missing Mitchell Moses. So I think the Raiders could jump them nice and early. So I'll take them. Let's get into Slutty Sunday. At 2 p.m. at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle. It's the Newcastle Knights versus the Gold Coast Titans. It's very much a pick'em. Titans at 185, Knights at 195. The line is 1.5 points. Totals, the book is expecting a lot at 45.5. Now, keeping this in mind, on Sunday, both of these games, there's going to be a lot of rain, showers. Manly's going to be wet. Newcastle's going to be wet. It's It's going to be moist pretty much everywhere. So,
Moist.
but the totals in both games are very high. But makes sense given the teams that are playing. But 45.5 is the total for this one. Looking at lineups. So, Kurt Mann is still out. So, Crossland takes over at hooker. Adam Elliott playing his first game since the debut. And for the Titans, they've only made one change, and it's just their bench. So, not too many movements happening there. Foz somehow is going to play this game. Fuck him. I wouldn't be surprised if he could stretch it off every week soon. Because
Who's struggling more, you reckon, Turbo or Foz at this point?
Foz is clearly more injured. I think his just tolerance is so much higher.
Yeah.
But yeah, fuck. I'd hate to. I'm actually. I was about to say I'd hate to feel how they feel, but at the same time, my knees are crook. My ankle's still fucked. It's been like 7 weeks. Still crook. I got my shoulder on Sunday.
Did you? What were you doing on
absolutely
Sunday?
rattled. Just playing basketball. Went for a big foul on a big bloke. I went to grab him under the ring to prevent him from going up. And he was that much bigger than me. Despite me grabbing his wrist, he still went up anyway. So my arm kind of, So
can't do that anymore, mate. You're not paid the big bucks like these boys.
I actually can't do that anymore. So you're right. But so that's why it goes back to it. I'd hate to know how Foz and Turbo feel, but I think I know how they feel. But thoughts on this one? I was leaning Titans purely because of the Kalen Ponga impact. That's, I guess, the biggest call I could make. The Knights have been awful since he's been back. Defensively, is shocking. And in attack, it's like they're looking for him to do anything, like everything. Since Jackson Hastings, he averaged 13 runs a game when he played for the Tigers. Now that he's in Newcastle, he averages less than 7 runs a game.
Interesting.
So he's playing the conductor role and just passing it on, but he's not threatening whatsoever. And yeah, it's just people just taking a backward step since Ponga's there. So they're hard to get a read on. I do like the Titans. Valiant last week. They pumped Manly on the road, but they are still the Titans. So I was a bit cautious in that one. I think games played against Newcastle, it's usually the home team that wins when it's these two, from what I could remember. So
yes, you're right.
Yeah. No play for me on this one. What about you? You got one?
I've gone Knights plus half a point second half handicap. So basically Knights to win the second half.
Right.
Titans a bit impressive, but they are like conceding fucking second half points for fun lately. The game against the Dolphins and the game against Para on the weekend, both times they have leaked an absolute shit ton of points. The game against your boys, they're actually winning against halftime before getting blown off the park in the second half and conceding 33 points.
Why didn't you take the Titans in the first half instead of Newcastle in the second?
Because I'm worried that the Knights will come off this little Barley thing and go, fuck you, even though it was one player.
Would they really?
Yeah, it was like
Barley?
There was only one player. It was only Brandon Best apparently was in Bali. They made it like the whole. Yeah, they made it like the whole club was over in Bali.
Bill made it like Adam O'Brien organised the flights for him.
So I think they're going to come out with a big fuck you performance. I think, they're going to be very pumped up for it Sunday, home crowd. Not super confident Titans will show up. And as you said, the home team, usually I just think they'll fall away in the second half. Titans.
Okay. That's not a bad one, but could be a tough watch. We'll see. It
will be.
Your last game on Sunday, Battle of the Beaches. It's the Manly Seagulls versus the Cronulla Sharks at 4 p.m. 4 Pines Park. Cronulla $1.54 favourites. Manly $2.50. Lines 4.5. Totals are 44.5 points. It is going to be wet at 4 Pines. There's going to be motherfuckers slipping around all over the place. For the Eagles, Seabold sticking with the same shit team who shit the bed last week. And for the Sharks, same team as well. Now, both of these teams are shocking last week. Who responds here? The 4.5 is. It seems the 4.5 seems like an absolute steal. I just can't see it finishing that close either way.
No.
Yeah. How do you see this one going?
I've gone under 18.5 Manly points.
Right.
4 out of last 5. So the last 5 games, they've only scored more than 18.5 points once, and that was 22 points against the Tigers. So other than that, they went 6 against Brisbane, 10 against the Titans. Even Melbourne, when they ambushed them, they only put 18 on. And then
And the
12
weather
wins
as
against
well.
Penrith. And the weather as well. I just
Yeah.
can't see them scoring 4 tries. Turbo is looking fucking worse and worse by the day. And I just think Sharks will bounce back way better than Manly team will.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good pick. I'm taking Cronulla to cover this one for 4.5. The Sharks haven't lost 2 games in a row. After a loss, they've bounced back really well this year. So I absolutely got mauled by the Dolphins last week in the Battle of the Sea Creatures. Man, they're just a bunch of wounded dogs, to be honest. Gerbo's not back, is he? Gerbo's not in.
No.
So that means Alloway's still playing lock. Can't handle the ball, unfortunately. DCE's playing all right, but outside of that, yeah, pretty average across the board. These Manly
It's
guys.
those. They're so, again, this is the problem when you spend so much money on a handful of players. They need them all on the park at the same time. So, and fit, like Turbo, Jake Turbo, they're relying on just DCE because he's the only fit one. Like, they've got so much money tied up in these players. So these other spastics are looking around going, what can I do?
Yeah, it's a good point. They didn't score till the 77th minute last week. 77 minutes in, it took them to score a point. And
I'll
the
take that
Broncos
again.
defense wasn't even that good.
No.
So I think, yeah, and the Sharks have to bounce back here. They've got a coach that has very high expectations. They've got a team that should be in the race. They're probably one piece away, but their backline's devastating. Nico Hines was quiet last week. I know that because I captained him in fantasy and is the reason why I got my first loss. So thank you, Nico.
Did you get your first loss?
Mate, old Camo, we were tied at the end of the round. And then the recount happened and he beat me.
The ghost points. Tell you what, my team is starting to get a bit of form running about them.
I saw you were pumped. I only had 750 points last week. But in my defense, I didn't trade anyone. I forgot all about it. I forgot the whole week. I don't know what I was doing. I was off my tree. So I completely forgot it. So the good thing is I saved myself some trades because I was going too hard. But I didn't make any moves. But at the same time, I thought I still could have won because old mate didn't make any trades either. But
still first in the league though, I see.
Yeah, still first, but lacking a bit of confidence at the moment. A lot of my players were playing good, but lately they haven't been. So I might just stick tight, get through some easy competition with a shit team, and then these guys will eventually come good. We'll see.
Yeah,
Who's got the bye this week, actually?
Sorry?
Who's got the bye?
Dolphins.
The Dolphins. All right, so I have to make some trades. I have like 3 Dolphins in my lineup, so
does Lockie. Sucked in him. And shit
sucked in there. Do you have Lockie this week, or?
Yeah, I do.
Is this your second time around?
Yeah, it would be. The NRL draws done us dirty there, but tell you what, he's very lucky. He's chirping away. He's very lucky he hasn't played me the last couple of weeks. I would have fucking absolutely pantsed him by a couple hundred points. Like literally, he's chirping away there, and his team's looking very fucking abysmal.
He's on the fringe. Let me have a quick gaze at my fantasy. Anything more in this game, by the way, before we just...
Nah, that's all I got.
That's all we got? All right, fuck. Yeah, I've got too many Dolphins players. But we'll make some moves. And Jackson Ford's fucking injured too.
Yeah, HIA. 11 days.
Hell. All right, fresh. Let's have a gaze. How many trades have you got left, by the way?
19. You?
I got 18. Luckily, I forgot last week because I could have easily been on 15 coming into this week.
But I've already made a trade this week though as well. I've gone. He looks exclusive for Mr. Lockie. I've gone because I had Moses. I've upgraded Moses to Hines, so I got Cleary and Hines in my halves now.
Oh, jeez. I was going to do that a couple of weeks ago. Had the funds for it. And I was like, then I'll be running Sean Johnson on the bench, and I ended up going with Isaiah instead. I needed another middle, so I got Isaiah instead of Cleary. But yeah, I don't think it'll be a bad move. Isaiah, he'll be fine. He's very consistent, and
He is.
I think I picked him because I picked him when he's versus the Tigers, and I knew the weather was going to be shit. So I thought Ford should eat up points in this game. He didn't, but that's why I made the decision there.
He's very, you know what he's very underrated for? Running the ball.
Yeah.
When he takes a hit up, he drives like post contact meters.
Drags people around.
He drags people with him. I'm like, man, he's got like. I just think he needs to take more hit ups. Like,
yeah,
he's just very.
You know
good.
how bad my team went last week? Out of my starting 13, 11 of them went down in value from last week.
Jesus, that is bad.
Shit. Talk about a poor investment. Yeah, I think it's going to get very difficult when it gets closer to Origin when they've got like 3 teams with a bye.
Yeah.
Do they sack those games in fantasy, or we still got to play them?
Depends how you set up the league. You can set a league so it doesn't, but some leagues they play it and it's just fucked. Like,
Lockie, I know you're listening. I hope we don't have to play this shit through Origin, or everyone's going to burn through their trades.
You just take the L.
Mate, I've seen in other fantasy leagues, like you can trade past your limit, you just get docked. Like you lose money.
No, like in EPL, English Premier League fantasy, you lose points. Right. So you get 1 free trade a week, and you can roll it over into a second week, but you only get maximum 2 trades a week unless you're using wildcard or something. Right. But if you want to take more trades, you take hits, so you lose 4 points for every trade that you make.
Like so it's very common. You would have earned in the week, or
so the next week you essentially start on say -4 or -8, right? And then it adds on,
yeah. Fuck, I'd happily pay that. Trading.
I would love that concept. Yeah, same. Yeah. Like I would love that concept of going, fuck, I'll take a hit. I just want to get a super team out there.
Yeah, but we'll see. I've got to see who I'm versing actually, because great. He's got buy round. What does that mean? Buy rounds off. Does that mean we don't play? Because that's what I want to happen.
No, you're confusing me there with that one.
Yeah, Lucky. Are we playing when the buys are happening or not?
Actually, I can check now. Settings. No, it means we don't have head-to-head games. So rounds fixtures 13, 16, and 19.
Yeah.
We don't play league matches.
Do you still collect points or?
Yeah, you collect for like overall and like your team's value and everything that changes, but you don't play anyone those weeks.
Okay, so. Excellent. He reckons we're playing them, but
cool. No, off means no head to head. I'm reading it here. Thanks for. Yeah, nothing.
Okay, let me see who I have this week. I've had a few easy ones, so can't believe I lost by 4 points last week. Gutted. Round 11. I've got James Marsh. Where's James sitting on the ladder? I've got a lot of similar players. Second rows are the same. Oh, it's one of the Cleary versus Hines matchups. He's got Lachlan Ilias, so I can take him in the halves. In the centers, it all depends on Stephen Crichton. If he plays well, he might beat me, but I've got him there. Wingers and fullbacks were very similar, meaning we have Dolphins players that we need to trade. He's got Lockie Miller as well. Look, it's going to be a close one. Going to be a close one. He's got Cardi Party and Hopgood. So, yeah, I've got to make some moves, I think. I do have Payne Haas. He's got Carrigan. Yeah, my middles will dominate. Okay. I think I'll be all right here. I might make 1 or 2 trades.
Nice.
Let me check the ladder before I get overconfident here. Okay. James Marsh, 6-4. Old Jimmy, 6-4. But I believe he's strung together quite a few wins. So, and if we look at total points scored, he's not too far behind me. So, yeah, I think I've had a really, like the Broncos, I've had a good draw. Like, my total points scored is, what, 4th or 5th? Your total points are heaps higher than mine.
Yeah, and I'm fucking 10th or something. Cucked by the fucking league.
You're 5-5. I'm 9-1, but your total points are heaps better than mine. But so look, I've had the benefit of the draw, but I've also been lucky in the fact that I've had shit rounds and still won because clearly a lot of people are worse than me.
There is one guy though who doesn't have a team, so it's basically a bye round when you verse him. So you get
He's got the all Cronulla team.
Yeah.
Bloody Balake. What a fucking sped. All right, sweet. Look, it's getting close to 10 p.m. Thanks for your commentary, Luke. Luke will be 5-6. Yes. I reckon he beats you by 200 points this week.
If he keeps it close, I'll be fucking gobsmacked. I've seen his team, and even if he was 2-3 trades, I'll be shocked he keeps it close.
Yeah. Look, Luke will beat you by 200 points this week, and then next week's episode, after we preview all the games, in the last 10 minutes we'll talk about fantasy, we'll bring you on. We'll bring you on, Lockie.
Deal.
All right? So get a haircut, get your microphone out, get the vape out, and get ready to cop it, mate. 200 points. We'll give you the handicap. 199. Luke's minus 199.
Deal.
Yeah?
Well, he's already
even
got
if you lose
16
by
players.
150, Lock, you win, and you can tell Luke how shit he is.
Yeah.
So, okay. It's all happening. Well, Luke, it's been a pleasure, as always. Locks, thanks for getting into it. Anyone else who was watching, you guys are the real G's, real MVPs. We'll see you next week. Gamble responsibly. Actually, I'm going to double down on that. Gamble responsibly. It's been a bit tough lately, but we'll see you next week, lads.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to your line from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all